Okay, let's dive into this. We're going to talk about a paradox that I'm pretty sure we've all felt. You have these huge, amazing ambitions, but then when it's actually time to do the work, nothing. You just feel stuck, kind of lazy. Well, this explainer is all about closing that gap between the person you want to be and what you actually do. Does this hit a little too close to home? You've got these incredible dreams swirling around in your head. You're going to write a book, get in the best shape of your life, learn a new language. You keep telling yourself, okay, tomorrow's the day, but tomorrow never seems to come, right? That feeling of being totally paralyzed before you even start, trust me, you are not alone in this.
So here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll get into what I call the ambitious, lazy brain to really understand what's going on up there. Then we're going to cover 3 super practical strategies: making it small, creating easy routines, and the game-changing 2-minute rule. And finally, we'll see how you can take that tiny little spark and turn it into a real fire. By the end of this, you're going to have a plan.
All right, let's get to the root of the problem: our ambitious but lazy brain. And the most important thing to get right off the bat is that this feeling isn't some personal failure. It's not because you're broken. It's just a classic conflict happening in your head between your big, exciting goals and your day-to-day actions.
Man, this slide just nails it, doesn't it? On one side, you've got these inspiring goals. On the other, well, reality. Your brain is hardwired to seek comfort and avoid difficulty right now. So, scrolling on your phone or binging a show almost always wins the fight against the hard work your future self is hoping you'll do. It's a constant battle between the you of today and the you of tomorrow.
Okay, this next part is a really big deal. We have to redefine the word laziness. It is not a permanent part of your personality. It is not who you are. Think of it more like a protective habit your brain has learned to avoid tasks that feel huge and overwhelming. And you know the best thing about a habit? It can be changed.
So, how do we actually change that habit? How do we break the cycle? Well, our first strategy is all about tricking your brain. We're going to make the very first step so ridiculously, almost laughably easy that your brain can't come up with a good excuse to say no. I mean, just look at this. The thought of running an entire marathon? Yeah, that's exhausting just thinking about it. But just putting on your running shoes? Come on, you can do that. Writing a 200-page book is completely paralyzing. But writing one single sentence? That feels possible. We're just lowering the barrier to entry so far down that it feels silly not to do it.
This is the perfect way to think about it. Nobody gets to the top of a mountain in one giant leap. It just doesn't work that way. Real success is built on a long series of tiny, consistent steps. These small wins build on each other, creating momentum and confidence. Your only job, really, is to focus on taking that very next step.
Okay, taking that first small step is awesome, but how do you keep doing it, day after day? That brings us to our second big strategy: creating easy routines. Here's the thing about willpower. It's a finite resource. It's like a muscle that gets tired. That's why relying on it is a recipe for failure. Routines, on the other hand, are automatic. They're systems that work for you, especially on the days you just don't feel motivated. And look how simple these are. We're talking about tiny changes. The whole point is to remove friction. If your running shoes are literally the first thing your feet touch in the morning, the decision to go for a run gets just a little bit easier. These small, automatic habits create the structure you need without draining all your mental energy.
And now it's time for our final and maybe the most powerful step of all. I like to think of this as the secret weapon against procrastination. It's called the 2-minute rule, and it's brilliant for overcoming that resistance you feel right at the beginning.
Yep, that's it. 2 minutes. That is the entire commitment you have to make to yourself. Want to start reading more? Just commit to reading for 2 minutes. Want to finally clean your room? Just clean for 2 minutes. See, the goal here isn't to finish the task. The goal is simply to start. It's such a small promise that it's almost impossible to say no. The psychology here is just so smart. The hardest part of doing anything is always getting started. The 2-minute rule is that first, critical push. Once you get that ball rolling, momentum starts to take over. And what you'll find, more often than not, is that after those 2 minutes are up, you actually want to keep going. So, there you have it. Our 3 big strategies. Now let's put it all together and talk about how these little sparks of action can eventually ignite a massive fire of change in your life.
This is it. This is the entire system. It really just boils down to these 3 things. Step 1, make the task so small it feels easy. Step 2, build simple routines around it to make it automatic.
And step 3, if you're ever feeling stuck, just use the 2-minute rule to get started. That's it. That's the plan for turning ambition into actual reality.
And one last thing, and this is super important. As you start trying this stuff, you're going to have days where you mess up, where you don't do the thing you said you would. That's not just okay, it's 100% expected. The goal isn't to be perfect, the goal is just to be persistent. So please be kind to yourself.
Think of all those big dreams you have as this incredible bonfire that's just waiting to be lit. You don't need a flamethrower. All you need is one tiny spark. Every small action is another piece of kindling on the fire. So, the only question left is this: what